Pain does not usually make people strong. Most of the time, it makes them readable. People in pain talk too much. They explain too much. They look for witnesses. They try to correct the record. They force closure. They rush decisions just to stop the pressure. And in doing that, they hand the world a clean map of where they are weak. Heartbreak becomes long messages no one needed to read. Humiliation becomes desperate image repair. Betrayal becomes loud speeches about loyalty. Failure becomes excuses dressed up as context. Loneliness becomes visible willingness to accept bad terms from bad people. And that is the part no one likes to say out loud. Unmanaged pain does not make you deep. It makes you governable. It tells other people what you need, what you fear, what you will tolerate, what can rush you, what can flatter you, and what can break your discipline. The issue is not whether pain hurts. Of course it does. The issue is whether your pain is making you easy to read, easy to move, and cheap to handle. In this video, I'm going to give you a cold method for turning pain into something useful: control, leverage, stronger terms, and a version of you that other people can no longer play so easily. And this is where Machiavelli matters. Machiavelli does not care that you suffered. The world does not reward endurance by itself. Suffering means nothing until it changes what other people can get from you, demand from you, or do to you. Pain becomes power only when you read what it exposed, cut off what fed it, bury the lesson in rules, and force the world to deal with a person who is harder to rush, flatter, exploit, or corner. That is the whole ladder. Pain exposes, you diagnose, you subtract, you install rules, the world loses leverage, and the wound stops leading. Let's begin. Move 1. Pain makes you readable. The sentimental lie is that pain automatically refines people. It does not. What it usually does first is strip away control. When people are hurt, they leak. They leak need. They leak insecurity. They leak motive. They leak timing. They leak the exact pressure they are trying to hide. If you know how to watch, pain makes people legible fast. You see it after heartbreak. Someone gets rejected, abandoned, or betrayed, and suddenly there are paragraphs, explanations, public sadness, private bargaining, indirect messages, strategic silence that is not really silence, and one more conversation they absolutely should not be having. They call it honesty. Usually it is exposure. They are not showing strength. They are revealing dependence. You see it after humiliation. A person gets embarrassed in public, underestimated at work, dismissed in a room that mattered, and now they are obsessed with correcting how they were seen. They start overperforming, overposting, forcing status signals, trying to recover reputation before they recover position. That urgency is visible, and visible urgency invites pressure. You see it after failure. Instead of going quiet and building again, many people become historians of their own collapse. They explain the market, the timing, the unfairness, the sabotage, the lack of support, the misunderstanding. Some of that may even be true. It still weakens them. Because the more you explain failure while still beneath it, the more people hear one thing: this person needs the story to save them before results can. You see it after betrayal. Someone gets lied to once, and now every conversation becomes a loyalty test. They monitor tone. They force reassurance. They ask leading questions they already resent needing to ask. That does not make them harder to manipulate. It makes them easier. Once another person can feel your fear of disloyalty, they can manage you with partial affection and selective reassurance. And loneliness may be the clearest example of all. A lonely person often thinks the problem is just lack of company, but strategic people know loneliness becomes visible appetite. It lowers standards. It speeds attachment. It makes someone negotiate against themselves just to keep access to attention. Once that happens, bad terms enter wearing the costume of relief. This is one of Machiavelli's deepest instincts. Vulnerability is not dangerous because it exists. It is dangerous because it can be observed, measured, and used. Power begins with seeing where pressure enters. Before pain can ever become strength, you have to admit that in its unmanaged form, it is an intelligence leak, and the consequence is simple. Once people can see what you need, they know where to press. If they see you need approval, they can buy compliance with praise. If they see you need closure, they can control you through ambiguity. If they see you fear exclusion, they can extract concessions with the threat of distance. If they see you cannot tolerate uncertainty, they can rush you into weak decisions. This is why pain, by itself, is not noble. Pain without discipline turns you into open terrain. So the first move is not to romanticize your suffering. It is to notice what it is making you reveal. Move 2. Read the wound like intelligence. Once you stop performing pain, you can finally study it. This is where most people fail. They want pain to mean they cared deeply, trusted bravely, loved purely, gave everything. Maybe, but that reading is usually too flattering to be useful. A wound is not a crown, it is a report. The question is not, why did this hurt so much? The better question is, what exactly did this pain prove? What dependency did it expose? What fantasy did it shatter? What weakness in selection did it reveal? What bad incentive reading did it uncover? What lack of skill, insulation, timing, or restraint did it make impossible to deny? This is where the conversion begins. Pain stops being drama and becomes intelligence. Take betrayal. Most people read betrayal morally. I was good, they were false. That may be emotionally satisfying, but strategically, it is incomplete. Betrayal usually tells you something precise about your judgment. You misread incentives. You granted trust too cheaply. You confused chemistry with character. You used intention as evidence where structure should have been the test. The lesson is not just that someone was disloyal. The lesson is that your method of reading loyalty was weak. Take repeated rejection. That pain can trigger a beautiful story about how the world fails to appreciate depth. Sometimes the real answer is much less flattering and far more useful. Your positioning was poor. Your value was unclear. Your self-estimation was inflated. Your skill was not where your ego said it was, or you were trying to enter rooms where your current level did not command terms. Rejection is often not a verdict on your worth. It is information about fit, signal, and market reality. Take burnout. Many people describe burnout as proof that they care too much or work too hard. Sometimes, but often burnout is evidence that your operating model is chaos, bad recovery, bad sequencing, no buffer, no prioritization, a constant emergency rhythm mistaken for ambition. The pain is not just exhaustion, it is proof that your current design requires self-damage to function. Take panic after abandonment. What does that usually reveal? Not simply love. It often reveals overinvestment in what you did not control. You built emotional stability on borrowed ground. You made one person, one job, one group, one source of validation carry a weight it should never have carried. So when it moved, you collapsed with it. Take humiliation. If one insult, one exclusion, one failed performance destroys you for weeks, the pain may be exposing that your status was built on borrowed approval. You were standing on other people's eyes. That is why the fall felt total. Again, Machiavelli is useful here because he forces a colder reading. He asks, where was the breach? Not who deserves pity, not who meant well. Where was the breach? Pain becomes strategically valuable the moment you stop asking what it says about your soul and start asking what it says about your structure. You are not denying emotion. You are stripping it for parts. If the pain came from being lied to, your issue may be selection. If it came from always being overlooked, your issue may be positioning. If it came from repeated financial panic, your issue may be exposure. If it came from being used, your issue may be access control. If it came from constant chaos, your issue may be design. That is why pain is a clue, not a crown. And if you do not name the exact breach, the rest becomes theater. You will make broad declarations, dramatic changes, emotional vows. None of it will hold because you still do not know what failed. Naming the breach without closing it is just educated helplessness. Diagnosis comes before dignity. Move 3. Remove what the wound was feeding on. Now comes the part most people avoid. Subtraction, not reflection, not expression, not another speech about standards. Subtraction. Once the wound has told you where the breach was, you cut off what kept feeding it. That may be a person, It may be a habit. It may be a platform. It may be a room. It may be a schedule pattern. It may be a fantasy you have been protecting because it feels better than reality. But if the same pressure still has direct access to you, then you have not converted anything. You have just understood your weakness more clearly while continuing to live inside it. If pain exposed approval addiction, then stop standing on the stage that keeps feeding it. Stop posting for reaction. Stop answering instantly. Stop checking who saw, who liked, who approved, who withheld. The point is not purity. The point is removing the pipeline through which your hunger keeps being manipulated. If pain exposed weak taste in people, then cut proximity before discussing trust, fewer explanations, fewer second chances, fewer intimate disclosures to untested people, fewer attempts to rescue connection with analysis. Distance first, insight later. If pain exposed financial fragility, then vanity spending has to go. The lifestyle that made you look stable while keeping you weak has to go. The dependency on unstable income, unstable partners, unstable approval, unstable luck has to be reduced. Before you speak about freedom, reduce the number of things that can financially corner you. If pain exposed distraction, then cut the drift. Cut the endless low-grade consumption that keeps you mentally soft. Cut the routine of staying stimulated enough not to think and too scattered to build. Some wounds survive because your life is arranged to keep them supplied. If pain exposed a social environment built on humiliation, contempt, or constant testing, then stop arguing with the room. Leave the room. Too many people spend years trying to win dignity inside structures that feed on their insecurity. That is not strength. That is attachment to injury. This is where Machiavelli becomes severe. He understood that before you defend dignity, you reduce vulnerability. Before you speak of honor, you narrow the channels through which damage enters. A prince who understands the threat but leaves the gate open is not wise. He is decorative, and this is why subtraction feels brutal, because it offends the part of you that still wants the old arrangement to become safe. It wants the same person to become trustworthy, the same job to become humane, the same chaos to become manageable, the same appetite to become harmless. Usually it will not. Real conversion begins when you stop negotiating with what injured you. This is also where many people reveal that they were more attached to the drama than the lesson. They can describe the pain perfectly. They cannot cut the source. They can articulate the pattern. They will not remove access. They know what destroys them. They continue to feed it because familiar suffering feels more intimate than clean separation. But power is not built by understanding a trap while leaving your foot in it. The first visible act of power is often quiet. A blocked number, a left room, a canceled subscription, a smaller expense structure, a refused invitation, a delayed reply, a removed audience, a channel gone dark. Nothing glamorous, just fewer ways in. And fewer ways in means less leverage against you. Move 4. Bury the lesson in rules. Subtraction creates relief. Rules create permanence. This is where pain starts becoming useful in a way that survives mood. Because emotion lies about durability. Right after a betrayal, a humiliation, a financial scare, people feel clear. They make promises. They say never again. But outrage is not architecture. Time passes, pressure fades, appetite returns, loneliness starts bargaining, vanity wakes up, hope edits memory, and the old weakness starts asking for one more exception. That is why the lesson has to be buried in rules. Not inspirational rules, operational rules. Rules that do not renegotiate with your feelings every morning. If you were once ruled by impulse, then you may need a 24-hour reply rule for emotionally charged messages, offers, invitations, confrontations, and opportunities wrapped in urgency. Not because delay is virtuous by itself, but because your wound taught you that speed was being used against you. If instability damaged you, then you need buffers, cash reserves, lower fixed costs, multiple options, skill blocks on the calendar that keep your earning power increasing. Not for the sake of discipline theater, because that wound taught you what happens when pressure finds you with no room to move. If chaotic relationships repeatedly tore you apart, then access criteria need to exist before attraction appears. What earns trust? What disqualifies trust? What inconsistency ends the process? What pace protects judgment? If these rules are invented after attachment, they are worthless. If humiliation exposed that your life was built on inconsistency, then calendar law matters. Training at fixed times, work blocks that are not negotiated away by mood. Review rituals that force contact with reality. The point is not generic discipline. The point is never again paying the same price for drift. If pain taught you that oversharing keeps handing people your pressure points, then install silence windows. Not performative silence. Functional silence. Time between impact and response. Time between emotion and speech. Time for information to settle before you reveal position. If the wound came from repeatedly trusting words over patterns, then the rule may be simple. No major trust decision based on charm, apologies, intensity, or stated intent. Only repeated behavior over time earns access. Boring? Yes. Effective? Also yes. This is where people drift into generic productivity talk and miss the point. The rule is not there to make you efficient. It is there to make relapse expensive. Every rule should answer a wound. The savings buffer answers the panic of exposure. The response delay answers the weakness of impulse. The access filter answers the cost of bad selection. The training block answers the pain of low leverage. The spending limit answers the humiliation of fragility. The review ritual answers the danger of self-forgetting. That is the conversion. The wound disappears into the structure that replaced it. Machiavelli would recognize this immediately. Stable power does not rely on good intentions in the moment of pressure. It relies on arrangement, on preparation, on a design that makes bad outcomes harder to produce and easy exploitation harder to execute. If your discipline still depends on remembering how much something hurt, then the wound is still governing you. If the lesson has been buried in structure, the wound can go quiet. The system remembers for you. And that is when pain begins to lose its sentimental drama and gain actual strategic value. Move 5. Change the terms. Other people meet. Now we arrive at the test that matters. Has your pain changed your bargaining position? Because power is not a private feeling. It is not a journal entry. It is not an atmosphere. It is not that vague, modern language about energy, presence, aura, and people somehow sensing your growth. Power is visible in changed terms. What can people now get from you? What can they no longer get? How quickly can they move you? How much access do they have? How expensive is it now to pressure you, flatter you, bait you, or rush you? That is the real conversion. When pain has been organized, people get less emotional data from you. You explain less, so they reveal more. This matters. The person who speaks less under pressure learns more about the motives of everyone else in the room. Your silence stops being emptiness and becomes denied access. When you need less approval, praise stops buying obedience. This is a major shift. Many people are not controlled by force, they are controlled by affirmation. Compliment them, validate them, make them feel chosen, and they surrender judgment. Once pain has taught you the price of that need, approval loses purchasing power. People can still praise you. They just cannot purchase you with it. When you build financial and emotional slack, pressure cannot force fast concessions. The desperate employee accepts insulting terms because he cannot endure a gap. The desperate partner tolerates disrespect because she cannot endure distance. The desperate creator says yes to cheap work because he cannot endure uncertainty. Slack changes that. Time changes that. Reserves change that. The moment you can absorb pressure, other people lose the ability to weaponize urgency. When access is filtered, unserious people remove themselves. This is one of the cleanest signs of power. You stop chasing clarity from the vague. You stop rewarding inconsistency with more chances. You stop making yourself available by default. And then something simple happens. Many low-quality people disappear without conflict. Why? Because extraction depends on easy entry. Once the gates are real, a lot of users lose interest. When your rules are consistent, employers, partners, clients, friends, and rivals stop expecting chaos from you. They stop waiting for the impulsive yes, the needy paragraph, the panicked reversal, the dramatic exception. Consistency changes your market value because reliability in yourself creates uncertainty for those who were counting on your weakness. When you no longer chase closure, bait loses value. This matters more than people think. A great deal of social control is built on getting you to respond, to defend yourself, to correct the lie, to answer the insult, to finish the old conversation, to explain your reasoning to people who have not earned it. Once you are no longer governed by the need to resolve every loose end, manipulation gets more expensive. People can still throw hooks. They just do not know if you will bite. And notice what has happened. Nothing mystical. You have simply become a worse target. A flatterer gets less compliance. A manipulator gets less speed. An opportunist gets less access. A bully gets less visible fear. A chaotic person gets fewer clean entries. An extractor gets less emotional supply. This is exactly what Machiavelli would respect. Not your suffering, but your repricing. The world prices everyone according to available leverage. If your needs are obvious, your terms drop. If your appetites are cheap to trigger, your terms drop. If your attention is easy to capture, your terms drop. If your loneliness can be fed just enough to keep you attached, your terms drop. But when your life is arranged, so those levers are fewer, slower, and more expensive to use, people deal with you differently. Not because they suddenly became moral, because your structure changed the economics of dealing with you. That is power. Move 6. Never let the wound become your ruler. Now the final trap. Some people make it through the first 5 moves. They learn, they cut things off, they build rules, they become harder to use, and then they ruin it by worshiping the wound. They build identity around being betrayed, hardened, self-sufficient, cold, impossible to fool, impossible to need, impossible to reach. The injury stops being a lesson and becomes a throne. From a distance, this can look like strength. Up close, it is often just another leash. Because once your identity depends on being the person who was wronged, you start protecting the wound. You select conflict to confirm it. You reject useful alliances because trust feels weak. You confuse hardness with judgment. You punish loyalty with suspicion. You mistake numbness for clarity. Now, resentment is driving selection, and resentment is easy to steer. A person ruled by resentment can be moved. Show them a familiar enemy, and they will lean forward. Offer them a chance to replay the old injury, and they will take it. Flatter their self-image as the one who sees through everyone, and they will go blind in exactly that direction. The same is true for people addicted to being the strong one. They refuse help that would increase capacity because dependence feels humiliating. They kill good partnerships because control feels safer than mutuality. They shut out loyal people, then call it standards. They become rigid where they should be selective. That is not freedom. It is overcorrection. And overcorrection is easy to manipulate. If I know you must never appear weak, I know exactly how to bait you. If I know you must never trust, I know you will isolate yourself from useful allies. If I know you need to see yourself as untouchable, I know you will avoid the exact exposures that would make you stronger. Machiavelli would have no patience for this theatrical hardness. He was too realistic. The goal is not to become colder than everyone else. The goal is to become harder to rule. Sometimes that means distance. Sometimes it means alliance. Sometimes it means silence. Sometimes it means direct force. Sometimes it means appearing open while remaining structurally protected. The point is choice. The wound should not choose for you. If betrayal made you incapable of trust, the betrayer still shapes your design. If humiliation made you addicted to dominance, the insult still shapes your ambition. If abandonment made you incapable of attachment, the absence still shapes your future. If failure made you worship invulnerability, the collapse still shapes your decisions. That is not power. That is injury with better tailoring. Pain exposes. You diagnose the breach. You subtract what fed it. You bury the lesson in rules. The world gets less access, less speed, less extraction, less leverage, and the wound stops leading. Pain is useless while it still needs an audience. It becomes power only when it changes your position without asking to be seen. Subscribe and like if you want strategy, not comfort. Do not confuse visible pain with invisible strength. Comment the move where most people fail: diagnosis, subtraction, rules, or refusing wound identity.